When I first began to study the laws of success, I discovered something astonishing. Wealth was never the result of luck, inheritance, or chance. It was the result of a mental magnet, a power that could either attract riches or repel them. And that magnet, my friend, is your own mind. Pause for a moment and think. Are you attracting wealth right now? Or are you silently pushing it away without knowing? The truth is simple. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every emotion you dwell upon, either invites prosperity or builds a wall against it. Now you may say, but I've been trying for years, and I'm still not rich. And to that I would say, you've been trying with your hands, not with your mind. Because the first step toward wealth is invisible. It begins with your attitude, your belief, your state of thought. Let me share with you what I learned through pain, persistence, and powerful observation. The mind is like a magnet that responds to emotion, belief, and purpose. When those are positive, wealth is drawn as if by law. When they are negative, it vanishes. So I ask you, do you think in terms of poverty or in terms of abundance? Because the universe does not discriminate. It simply echoes what you think most often. The poorest man can attract gold if he learns to think gold. The richest man can lose everything if he starts thinking lack. And that, my friend, is not philosophy. It's the psychology of prosperity. When I visited countless successful men, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Andrew Carnegie among them, I noticed one pattern that united them all. They did not chase money, they magnetized it. Now listen carefully, because this is the secret that separates the struggling from the unstoppable. They spent hours not in labor, but in thought, not in activity, but in planning, not in noise, but in silence. You see, thought is the foundation upon which all fortunes are built. You cannot build a palace on the sand of doubt. You must first create the blueprint in your mind. So if you feel broke today, don't curse your condition. Bless it, because it's only showing you how powerful your thinking has been. Change your thoughts, and the world will rearrange itself to serve you. Now here's a question that can change your life. What would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? Hold that thought, because that very question opens the door to your magnetic field of success. When I was young and hungry to understand success, I realized that the wealthy had one habit that the poor ignored. They took time to think. Yes, you heard that right. Thinking time is the secret workshop of the wealthy. 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes to separate mediocrity from mastery. 15 minutes to plan, to visualize, to imagine, to dream, to decide. Because the man who sits still long enough to think controls the man who only runs to react. George Stefek discovered this truth when he was broken bedridden in a hospital. He could not move, but his mind could. And that mind, filled with ideas, imagination, and belief, created an enterprise that brought him wealth. Think of it! He had nothing but time, and he turned that time into fortune. What about you? Are you using your quiet moments to design your destiny, or are you wasting them in worry? Remember, silence is not emptiness. It is creation in progress. Every empire begins with an idea, and every idea begins with a moment of stillness. So when you feel restless, broke, or lost, don't rush. Stop. Take out a pencil and a piece of paper. Because those two tools built Edison's future, and they can build yours. Write down your thoughts. Record your flashes of inspiration. Never trust memory. It's too short for million-dollar ideas. I always carried a notebook, even when I had nothing but hope. Because wealth loves those who respect their own ideas. Now here's another truth that most people ignore. The universe will only give you more when you show gratitude for what you already have. A negative mental attitude says, I have nothing. A positive one says, I have potential. And that small difference creates a world of separation between the poor and the prosperous. If your attitude is poisoned by envy, fear, or doubt, you're sending a signal that repels abundance. But if your heart vibrates with faith, gratitude, and courage, you're broadcasting the frequency of wealth. Stop trying to get rich. Start becoming the kind of person wealth is attracted to. And here's how you start. Decide today that you will no longer think in terms of lack. Every time you say, "I can't," you give power to your limitations. Every time you say, "I can," you open the door to miracles. Repeat this truth until it burns into your soul. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. The question is not, how can I get money? The real question is, how can I become valuable enough that money can't resist me? Because when you work harder on yourself than on your job, the results become inevitable. Every man must choose to think in terms of fear or to think in terms of faith. And that choice alone decides whether he attracts or repels wealth. So today, make a promise to yourself that from this moment forward, you will guard your thoughts like gold. You will feed your mind with hope, courage, and belief. And you will starve your doubts until they die of neglect. Because the world will always mirror your inner state. If you want abundance, radiate abundance. If you want opportunity, expect opportunity. If you want success, think success. It begins in your mind, but it ends in your reality. And remember this, every rich man you admire once stood exactly where you are right now, uncertain, doubtful, afraid, until he made one decision that changed everything. He decided to think rich before he was rich. That is the beginning of attraction. That is the power that transforms ordinary men into legends. So let this message burn in your heart tonight. Attract, don't repel wealth. For everything you dream of is already waiting for the right version of you to claim it. Most people spend their whole lives trying to change their circumstances, but very few ever stop to change themselves. And that is the greatest mistake of all. For the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner. The man who blames the economy, his job, or his luck is like a farmer blaming the soil while refusing to plant better seeds. You cannot harvest abundance from the weeds of negativity. You must first cultivate the garden of your mind. Now here's a truth that might shock you. Wealth is not attracted by action alone. It is magnetized by vibration. Every emotion carries a frequency, and that frequency either calls fortune or pushes it away. A man who wakes up angry, speaks in doubt, and walks in fear is unknowingly broadcasting poverty on full volume. But the one who rises in gratitude, acts in faith, and moves with purpose is announcing to the universe, "I am ready to receive." And the universe never ignores that voice. Every time you feel jealousy toward another person's success, you are silently saying, "I am not ready for my own." But every time you celebrate another man's achievement, you increase your own vibration and prepare yourself for more. So remember this, the attitude with which you face the success of others decides how soon your own success will arrive. I learned this lesson in the halls of millionaires. Not one of them wasted a second in envy. They admired, they studied, they congratulated, because they knew that what you bless expands. You repel only what you resent. You attract what you respect. So, if you want more money, start respecting it. Treat every coin you touch as if it was sacred. Because wealth, like a guest of honor, visits only where it feels appreciated. Do not speak lightly of money. Do not mock those who have it. Do not call it evil. For if you curse what you desire, you are commanding it to leave you forever. You cannot invite prosperity into a home where resentment lives. Now, let's go deeper. Wealth is energy. It flows like a river. It cannot be captured, but it can be directed. And you direct it through your thoughts, your words, your habits, and your attitude towards service. The man who gives more value than he is paid for will soon be paid more than he gives. That is an unbreakable law. I have never met a truly wealthy man who was selfish with his service. He might have guarded his time, but he always overflowed in value. So ask yourself, are you giving the best of yourself to the world? Or are you waiting to be paid before you deliver your excellence? Because life does not pay for promises. It pays for performance. Stop thinking about getting and start focusing on becoming. The universe rewards those who create, who solve, who serve, who uplift. When your work becomes your worship, your wealth will chase you down. This was the secret I learned from Carnegie himself. He said, "Hill, if a man can be trusted to do more than he's paid for, the world will soon line up to pay him more than he does." And he was right. I've seen it again and again. You cannot cheat this law. You can only align with it. Because life is a mirror that reflects your vibration, not your intention. You can dream all day, but if your inner frequency hums with fear, your results will match that fear perfectly. So how do you raise your vibration? By practicing gratitude until it becomes your default emotion. Every morning, speak this silently to yourself. I am thankful for the wealth that is already mine in unseen form. This one affirmation alone has the power to reprogram your mind from lack to abundance. Because gratitude is the key that unlocks every door. When you focus on what you already have, you multiply it. When you complain about what's missing, you reduce it. The subconscious mind obeys what you emphasize. If you keep talking about debts, you'll attract more debts. If you keep thinking about opportunities, you'll attract more opportunities. This is not mysticism. This is mental mathematics. The law of attraction is not wishful thinking. It is the exact science of how belief shapes behavior, and behavior shapes reality. You attract not what you want, but what you are. So if you want to attract wealth, become the kind of person wealth feels safe with. Disciplined, grateful, honest, and generous. A man who wastes $1 today will never be trusted with $1 million tomorrow. Wealth comes to the mind that respects order. It flees from chaos. Clean your desk, organize your space, structure your time, and you'll be amazed how quickly order outside creates order inside. Because discipline is a signal to the universe that you are ready for more. Every time you keep a promise, you expand your capacity. Every time you procrastinate, you shrink it. Success is never accidental. It is invited by character and escorted by consistency. Remember this truth. Money flows towards certainty and runs away from confusion. So decide, not half-heartedly, but with total conviction, that wealth is your right, your responsibility, and your result. Do not wish for riches. Decide to earn them by the person you become. The moment you decide, you will feel the shift inside you. The hesitation will fade. The fear will lose its voice. And you will begin to act with calm power instead of anxious energy. That is when opportunities appear as if out of thin air. Not because the world changed, but because your vibration did. Everything you seek is already in existence, waiting for the frequency of your readiness. The car you desire, the house you dream of, the freedom you crave. They are not waiting for luck. They are waiting for alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony, the universe opens doors you didn't know existed. And that, my friend, is how wealth truly begins to flow. Not from effort, but from inner order. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself this one question. Am I repelling wealth through my thoughts, or attracting it through my growth? Because the answer to that question is the secret of your next chapter. If you've asked yourself that question sincerely, you're already far ahead of most people. For the majority rush through life without ever understanding what they're running toward. But the moment you pause to ask why, you separate yourself from the crowd and step into awareness. Life doesn't reward speed, it rewards clarity. The world does not pay for motion, it pays for direction. And when your direction aligns with purpose, Wealth no longer becomes something you chase. It becomes something that follows you. Remember this: every dream that enters your heart is not a coincidence. It's an assignment, a responsibility. If you have been chosen to dream of abundance, it's because the universe intends to bless others through you. Wealth never stays long with the selfish. It flows toward those who multiply it through service. The river of prosperity never dries. It simply changes course to follow those who understand its rhythm. You cannot demand from life more than you give to it. You can only receive in proportion to the value you create. So instead of asking, "Where is my reward?" ask, "How can I serve more deeply?" Because the moment your purpose expands beyond yourself, the universe begins to work for you. I've seen men work tirelessly, chasing money like a mirage, and I've seen others attract it effortlessly, simply because their intent was purer. They were not in pursuit of cash, they were in pursuit of contribution, and money, sensing sincerity, became their loyal companion. You see, money is not emotional, but it is deeply spiritual. It goes where it is respected. It stays where it feels purpose. It grows where it is appreciated. If you want more, become more. If you wish to attract abundance, become the source of abundance for others. This is how every empire begins, not with greed, but with generosity. Think of every wealthy man who left a legacy. Their riches were not the real treasure. Their impact was. Carnegie built libraries, Ford built mobility, Edison built light, and each of them understood a truth most men ignore: that wealth is a servant, not a master. The tragedy of our age is not poverty of wallets, but poverty of vision. Too many want wealth for comfort, too few for contribution. But the universe measures worth by usefulness. When your goal becomes to make life better for others, life begins to make things better for you. Now listen carefully. This is the moment your destiny begins to unfold. If you wish to attract more wealth, stop treating it as your destination. See it as a tool, a divine instrument to express your greatness. When you shift from wanting to serving, the flow of abundance becomes unstoppable because you are no longer chasing. You are channeling. Every action done in faith, every word spoken with gratitude, every service given with excellence adds another drop to the ocean of your prosperity. You are not a beggar of blessings. You are a builder of them. And once you realize that, you will never again think small. You will rise each day not asking, "What can I get?" but declaring, "What can I give?" That declaration alone turns an ordinary man into a magnet for miracles. So ask yourself again, not from fear, but from faith, what kind of value am I creating today? Because money is a shadow that follows value. If you create enough value, the shadow will never leave your side. I remember standing before a man who once said to me, "Hill, I'll start giving when I have more to give." And I told him, "My friend, you'll never have more until you start giving." Giving is not about amount, it's about attitude. If you can share a smile when the world frowns, if you can speak faith when others speak fear, if you can work with passion when others complain, you are already rich in the only currency that matters. And soon, material wealth will join you as a byproduct, not a pursuit. So stop asking for easy days. Ask for stronger faith. Stop wishing for fewer problems. Wish for greater wisdom. Because wealth is not meant to make life easy. It is meant to make you effective. The purpose of abundance is expansion. The purpose of money is movement. The purpose of success is service. And when all three unite within you, the world will feel your impact long after you are gone. That is what true wealth is. Not the coins in your hand, but the change you cause in others. So as you finish this message tonight, pause and breathe deeply. Feel gratitude for all that you already have. Forgive yourself for all that you lacked before, and step into a new frequency, one where you attract wealth not through effort, but through alignment. The secret is not to chase what you want, but to become what you seek. When you embody abundance, Scarcity loses its power. When you walk in gratitude, doors open on their own. And when you serve with love, the universe becomes your partner. So here is my final word to you. You are not meant to live an average life. You were born to lead, to build, to bless. Your thoughts are seeds. Your faith is the soil. Your actions are the sunlight. And the harvest? It is already growing, in ways you cannot yet see, in places you have not yet reached. Hold your vision, guard your attitude, serve with excellence, and trust that every moment of growth is a step toward your destined prosperity. Because wealth does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who vibrate. Now go and be the magnet of abundance, not for what you can have, but for what you can give. And remember these final words. You do not attract what you wish. You attract what you are.